So in September of 2022, I hit a career milestone, my film on Netflix. It had been a childhood dream of mine to become an actor, and now it finally had come true. Not that you have to actually have a film on Netflix to be an actor, but for me, it was sort of like a legitimization and a permission for myself to be like, hey, you don't have to chase this goal so much anymore. Like, you are an actor already, and you can kind of like give yourself permission to relax a little bit. And so I decided to do a lot more traveling, and that is, I guess, the majority of what this YouTube channel has been about. But today I want to share like a really personal story of a journey that I've been going on for the past 1 year. So in June of 2023, I acted in a film, coincidentally as a traveler, and during this time I was so busy, and also the lease on my home was expiring, and I didn't have time to look for a place that I liked. I need somewhere to move into, like furniture, everything else is sorted, and I don't have to think, and I found this co-living space. And so I sold off 60% of my belongings, or gave it away, and I moved into this place. So it's just a lot of things that I'm trying to pack right now, and I'm trying to downsize everything into 4 giant cardboard boxes. This is such a new life. I'm scared but also excited. It sounds very dramatic, like wow, how did you decide to do this? But it had kind of been building for a while. So since I was young, I kind of always knew that I was going to be a full-time traveler. I just saw my life up in the mountains. That was this thing that I saw in my head constantly over and over again. So my first 6 months of being in this co-living space was absolutely amazing. It was filled with experiences, meeting different people from all kinds of cultures, Kazakhstan, from Russia, from China, from Amsterdam. It made me feel like a tourist in my own city as well. And so obviously, at this point in time, the next step would be to actually start traveling and becoming a full-time nomad. But I had no idea how this would look like. And so my first thought was like, okay, I'm going to be a digital nomad. I'm going to create a digital product, and through that process, I can travel. I'm going to start making money online. And so I began to plan out the syllabus for a 12-week online course teaching people voice acting. I'd been teaching workshops here and there for a few years, so it only made sense to convert it into digital format. So my plan was to record them as I travel and also monetize my YouTube channel. But also, there were so many parts of my current life that I loved. I loved being an actor. I loved being a performing artist, being part of a creative community, of like, just having a space to have pizza and Netflix with, my girlfriends and just chill and be comfortable. So then I asked myself, how could I be a nomad and at the same time maintain everything that I had, my career, my life as a performing artist, maintain my relationships, and the most important one of all, maintaining the pursuit of my physical goals. So the challenge was essentially all about balance, trying to start an online business while continuing to make growth in my career as an actor, and balancing stability with freedom. I mean, this is everyone's dream, right? So I thought, I really have nothing to lose. I'm not in a relationship, I have no commitments, and I don't mind failing. So in April of 2024, I made a choice to sell even more things, leave the co-living space. So I left a whole bunch of like boxes, and the first place I went to was Phuket, Thailand. I thought like, let's go to somewhere where I can just chill for a while. And also Thailand is really easy for me to travel. I'm very familiar with it. It wouldn't be too much on my nervous system. I made a video about my Phuket travels. It was very relaxing because all I did was just reset my system. It was the ocean that really helped, and also having a regular routine and healthy food, and just being able to be in my own space, because being in a co-living space can sometimes be very dysregulating. Although it's super fun, but you don't get time to switch off because you're constantly surrounded by people. And having that time in Phuket was really nice. I also did quite a bit of filming on my voice course. There were times when I got lonely, but I'm very happy that I also was able to make friends there. And also that was where I created a piece of content that went viral. So that was really nice. And then from there, I went to Chiang Mai and booked into the Social Club, which is a co-living and co-working space. I have so much love for this space. I think this space cured a part of my heart. And it was here that I really got to maintain my physical goals as well. So I went to dance class. The Social Club also has this personal trainer come and give us like really great workout sessions, and it's part of the package as well, so it's included in the accommodation. And any experience that you wanted to have, like there would be people who would want to join you in doing this as well. So after the 1 month in Chiang Mai, my plan was actually to go to Bali. But then I had to return home to KL because I had a commitment, which is to finish off doing a pro bono project, directing a video. Here's where I stop traveling and I start fulfilling obligations again. And I was really upset about it because my momentum of content creation, I had just gone viral, so I was very proactive in like putting out content and in doing my YouTube videos. Everything was rolling, and then having to come back home and then finish up this project, which I was not getting paid for. And honestly, I was doing it more out of guilt than anything else. I think more than the actual work of doing the project, it was the emotion of guilt that I was operating from that created like a creative block within me that I couldn't do other things as well. And so from this point on, it was where things really started to not go so well. So I came back to KL, moved into the same co-living space. I can't believe that I am back here again at the exact same room, but at a different floor. And it's crazy how immediately I feel so damn at home. Recording conditions were a lot more conducive here, and I managed to smash out a lot of lessons and modules in my voiceover course. And then after a week, I traveled to Singapore to do a Zumba instructor course. So along the way of thinking like, hey, I'm not going to be doing so much voiceovers anymore. What else can I do? Zumba instruction was one of them because I know that you can teach anywhere around the world if you have a certification. I'm going to be very honest with you here. I don't want to sugarcoat anything. The Zumba instructor course was not what I expected. Based on the marketing material and the general vibe of Zumba that I see on Instagram or like whatever, it's very sexy. It's like, guys with like rock hard abs and, very fit women who inspire me to be stronger. But it did not turn out to be anything like that. I still definitely had a lot of fun for sure. But the only abs there were mine. And mine are not even great. And the only person slaying dance moves was me. And my dancing is not even great. So I didn't want it to be that way. I wanted it to be challenged. I wanted to be like, it's so stressful that I can't even keep up. That's what I was looking for. But the highlight of Singapore was catching the Olafur Eliasson exhibition. I had always been obsessed with him, and to actually see his work live, it was really a treat. So after my short time in Singapore, I went up north to Kedah, Sungai Petani. So this is a place in Malaysia that's famous for its rice paddy fields. And I had gotten a small role in an action film. Unfortunately, I was not part of the fight sequences. I was just kind of like the damsel in distress a little bit. But this moment really inspired me because number one, I remembered how passionate I was about action films and martial arts. Number two, seeing this camaraderie and brotherhood that formed amongst the male stunt performers, it was so comforting. I felt so safe, and they weren't trying to one-up each other as sometimes men commonly do. They were supporting each other, encouraging each other, because doing stunts is really difficult. If you try to one-up each other and show off, you're gone, you're dead. And they made everyone else feels safe and empowered as well. And so when I came back from Kedah to co-live and having this playing in the back of my head, I chanced upon a post on Instagram by an action choreography studio in Singapore that I had been following for a while. It was for an 8-month trainee internship. I was really excited. I remember my reaction. I was like jumping up and down, like what an amazing opportunity. I knew that it would be incredibly challenging, but it was the challenge of it that attracted me to that. But before I went on that journey, I knew that I had to finish up my voiceover course. I was falling way behind schedule on my course creation and had moved back in with my parents to save money. I started having very intense doubts about what I was creating, and that manifested in me being very moody and totally unable to focus. In this manual, the instructions read, take off the hook. How? How do you even what? I was seriously considering just giving up, throwing in the towel, and going back to doing voiceovers. After a few sleepless nights, I eventually made a decision to push through. And what followed was instant clarity. It's such a nice day. I have been in the worst, dread thought kind of space. A lot of my thoughts are clouded in darkness. So much self-doubt with what I'm doing right now. But I have to feel that it's all part of the process, or at least I gotta try to feel that way. I don't know. That week, I attended a community workshop on digital content creation, which turned out to be a very grounding moment for me. To be honest, I already knew most of what was being taught, but it was the calm and caring energy of our instructor and the connection physically with other beginner creators who are on a similar journey that really energized me for the next portion of my video shoots. So I booked into an Airbnb for a few weeks and pushed myself to finally finish recording all of the material.
Alright, I had a very successful recording session today, and look where I am. Whoa! It's this place called Datum Sky Residences at Gelatic. It is super nice. I have to show you all the sunset. Oh my god, this place is really, really nice.
It was an exhausting process, but I was satisfied with the results, and I could leave to Singapore in peace for the next part of my journey. I went there and everyone was jumping and tumbling, and everything that I had imagined that I wanted to do for the past 3 years, or the kind of dynamic go-getter, pushing boundaries kind of environment that I wanted to be in, this was it. I was in that space that I had wanted to be. Everything that I was manifesting was actually materializing. Real talk now, because yesterday I had a very rough moment. I did get a little bit injured. It wasn't a bad injury, but it was a muscle pull on my hip. As a newbie, I am so anxious, and at my age, I have a lot of fear in my body. So I'm not gonna lie, it's been very intense. It's been rough and stressful. And last night was just oh my god, can I actually do this? But I guess this is just part of, doing physical stuff, and I gotta get used to it. Despite the physical stress, I enjoyed every single moment. I loved Singapore. It was so peaceful. And my life became this routine of eating at coffee shops, just very peacefully getting ready to go to the studio, and public transportation. I love public transportation. I mean, I would do anything to not drive. I hate driving. KL traffic is horrible. And it was really nice there because I had lots of friends and family. A lot of old friends from college and school are actually in Singapore, and I got to hang out with them after not seeing them for a very long time. So it's this very comforting feeling, but at the same time, I didn't really go out of my way to make a lot of new friends because of the comfort that I had. So once again, I was falling into comfort zone situation. And when you're already so freaking tired, the last thing you want to do is push yourself even more out of your comfort zone. I did submit self-tape auditions for a motion capture project and got a call back, but for the most part, what occupied my time was just training, commuting, trying to eat well, and editing my digital course. I still had to travel back to Kuala Lumpur every 3 weeks or so via a 6-hour bus ride for occasional acting jobs and to make sure I wasn't flouting immigration laws. While I was back home, I managed to keep in touch with my performing arts community, spend time with friends, go for dance classes, and continue working on my physical goals. In September, I actually finished my voice course. I couldn't believe it. It had been almost 8 bordering on 9 months, what was supposed to be 6 months. But having this weight lifted off my shoulders meant that I was so much more free to do other stuff. But at this time, my creativity had just died. My confidence, it was gone. I don't know where it went. It was so scary. But eventually it got better when I went for a month to Cherating, which is a surf town in Malaysia. I felt fully recharged after that. Cherating is the best of nature, community, art, and of course, surfing. I had injured myself during training a few weeks ago, so I didn't surf as much as I wanted to, but it didn't matter because every day here was magical. I lived at a friend's hostel and spent my time with a variety of amazing, soul-driven people, all connected through a love for waves and freedom. Once again, I felt like I was exactly where I wanted to be, and I was able to create again. I spent a month there and then went back to Singapore fully recharged. I was starting to learn more difficult moves and I could really feel my body changing. More strength, explosive power and athleticism. My stunt skills were improving, I was bonding with the team, and instead of feeling fear like I did before, I was starting to have fun. I also started to attend more events in Singapore, make new connections, and even create some fight choreography. I also had more energy now to go out and explore the city. And my course ended up becoming a bestseller. With the glowing reviews pouring in, all the hard work finally felt worth it. I was starting to really enjoy life in Singapore, and as my responsibilities within the stunt team grew, I found myself at a crossroads. Should I stay and deepen my roots or continue my nomadic journey? It wasn't an easy choice. In the end, I decided to return to KL to rest, regroup, and reflect on what had now been almost a full year since the start of this journey of traveling and trying to live my best life. I found myself at one point in time really low because I remembered how excited I was when I first started my journey and I'm gonna travel here and there, and I looked at my journal and saw things like Phuket and then Chiang Mai, Bali, Europe, Vietnam, and I didn't go to any of these places. It was like Phuket, Chiang Mai, and then it just stopped right there, like Singapore, and then it just stopped right there. This was not the plan I had. I was feeling so low. I actually just typed into ChatGPT. I say, hey, I'm feeling really low today. And it actually gave me a breakdown of everything that I had been feeling, which I didn't even realize I was feeling. And also it helped me reframe what I was going through. So now I'm like, hey, wait a second. This is an initiation. It's not like you have to start off and immediately you got to go to Afghanistan or climb Mount Everest or something. No, you need to make way. The internal journey or the internal landscape has to be right first. Those months of training as a stunt performer, it changed my body in so many ways, and most of all, it made my nervous system a lot more resilient, and it gave me this explosive power and this ability to do new things with my body that I'm so satisfied. And now I have this knowledge about how to do action choreography, and so action films, that is my next destination for sure. The biggest thing I learned from my 1-year journey of being a nomad, finding complete safety in my body was a big thing. I used to find safety in my house. So, whenever I was tired, I'd be like, oh, I gotta go home. Or when I'm at a party, I'd be like, oh, yeah, sorry, I gotta go home. It's grandma's sleeping time. And that was a place that I would escape to like regulate my system, to like be okay again. And honestly, it was an excuse. And not having this refuge anymore, it changed me internally. Like now I'm a lot more brave to be in situations, like I can stay out for much longer, and I can be in social situations for a longer period of time. I'm not afraid anymore. I'm very active. The only downside is that I kind of have a little bit of insomnia right now. I'm still trying to find a way about that. Obviously, I would love to make myself even more calm and eat better and all of that, but I think this will come in time. I also realized that before I was running away from a lot of things. I was running away from seeking solutions. So every time something got tough, for example, if there was a problem in my house, I'd be like, oh, I gotta move house, instead of trying to fix the problem. And even in my creative work, I was always wanting everything to be perfect and not being able to appreciate things for what it was, and realizing that there is no such thing as perfection. There's just perfect flow and perfect fun. But really, this past 1 year has just been me really discovering who I am. But when I really think about it, I realized that I had set these really lofty ideals, traveling and have all these amazing experiences, and at the same time be able to like maintain my career, my relationships and physical goals and all of that stuff. I mean, it's a pretty ambitious ask. But the more interesting thing was not about me reaching the goals, but it was about the journey of it. I know it sounds corny, but it's so true, because it was in seeing how I navigated trying to reach those goals that I discovered so many things about myself. Like, I discovered that I have difficulty asking, and I know a lot of people have struggled with this. I have difficulty asking for what I need, and I also have difficulty really knowing what I need. I realized that I'm very good at making connections, and I'm very good at attracting into my life the things that I need. Even though I don't ask for it directly, I somehow am able to attract it. So I do believe that there is something out there that is looking after me, or that is kind of like watching over this journey of mine. So while I am making this video, honestly, mostly for myself, to kind of like document the journey that I've been on, but it's also that if this finds you, maybe you are a female around the same age as me and you're in a similar situation, I really hope that we can connect, or that you are someone completely different to me and that you found something that you can relate in this. If that is the case, I hope you can leave me a comment or reach out to me in some way, and I hope to be able to report something new and exciting, and be able to at least give you a more exciting video the next time I record something, or the next time I update this journey.